Well, welcome everyone to our 2020 year-end special of Inside Live. I'm Sherry Huss, and I'm joined today by my colleague Itamar Kabovi.
Hey, Sherry. A pleasure to be here today, and welcome everyone.
Excellent. And we have a really special program planned today for everyone. We're excited to welcome Bob Bejan. Bob, who's a friend, is also basically the corporate vice president of events, studio, and community at Microsoft, and has been a major leader and very inspirational mentor for all of us in the event world this year. And so we're actually happy to have a conversation with Bob and his team today.
Fantastic to be here.
Cool.
Welcome, Bob. I just wanted, by way of a little bit more of an intro, to say that, over the last 7 or 8 years that I've been, from my arts background spreading into the events world and coming to understand it. Over a number of different occasions and over many years, Bob just kept popping up in my head every time I came in touch with anything he was saying or a keynote he was giving. He just seemed like he was thinking differently from everybody else. And it wasn't that he wasn't embracing the industry, but he was just really always thinking a step ahead. And I was thrilled when I realized that he had a background really in the arts and in culture, and in a way that he brings to all of this, a very special kind of take on it. And that just didn't happen once, it happened several times. And it always seemed, Sherry, since we now are on our 12th or 13th Inside Live, and we're finishing one of the strangest years we've ever experienced, no matter who and where we are, it seemed right to have a person who's a real visionary in our field kind of just wish the year off, reflect a little bit on it, and take us into the future, whatever the future may bring. So I thought we'd start, before talking to Bob, we would roll the clock back and look at something that was going on in March while we were all sitting paralyzed in our chairs, not knowing what was happening, thinking the sky was falling. It was always interesting to think, I always wonder, what is Bob Bejan doing now, So we're going to start you off with a clip that'll take us back to the beginning of it all in March. Here's what Bob Bejan was doing in March.
Hey, you know what? I bet everybody's out there like looking at screens all day long, going to meetings, wondering when you're going to stop being so isolated, get out of your house. This song is for you. I'm waiting on a Teams call, can't wait to see my friends. I'm waiting on a Teams call, hoping the world don't end. My home network is spotty, on that you can depend. When I'm on a Teams call, I get all my work done. When I'm on a Teams call, ain't sitting next to no one. Having coffee in my bunny slippers will get that virus on the run. Everybody's on a Teams call, a few weeks longer, that's my hunch. Everybody's on a Teams call, Microsoft thanks a bunch. But let me tell you something, baby, mute your mic before your lunch. Everybody's on a Teams call, can't wait to see their friends. Everybody's on a Teams call, hoping the world don't end. Well, my home network is spotty, on that you can depend. Everybody's on a Teams call. Everybody on a Teams call. Everybody's on a Teams call.
I'll leave your microphone, will you please?
Everybody's on a Teams call.
Everybody's on a Teams call.
Everybody's on a Teams call.
sorry, I was on mute.
Amazing.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that's how it all, that was right at the beginning.
That was right.
Yeah, when all of this just started.
Yeah.
And it seems like what was great is that was, again, dealing with what we had at that moment and being able to sort of struggle through all of the things that 9 months ago, Teams was probably a very different product than it is today.
Dramatically so. Dramatically so. I mean, that you can't overstate that. I mean, and in a lot of ways, the digital transformation that we were able to do kind of over those next 12 weeks, it's all interrelated. A lot of, I would never say, oh, we're taking credit for the innovation in Teams, because it's the Teams engineering team and all of those hundreds of people doing that. But I think we've had influence, and that's been so interesting to be, an events team that very often in corporate America does not get at the top of the ladder in terms of strategic influence at a company, even though we're always in the middle of it, which is all interesting and somewhat ironic. But to be able to be collaborating with our engineers the way we are now is incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think, when we spoke last, you were mentioning to us that you, over this time, have actually transformed your basement really into a kind of whole other thing, which
Yes.
in a way I think is sort of a mark of what the 9 months have sort of brought to us. And I wondered if, in contrast to what we looked at 9 months ago, where we were all struggling with figuring out how to really make Teams the core of all of our workplace, you've really figured out a bunch of stuff. And I wondered if you could show us a little bit what you're able to do now in your studio, or what you've sort of done that kind of gives us the possibility to see where this is all headed. I think that would be amazing, and sort of say a little bit about why and what the thinking is behind. It's obviously not just toys. There's a purpose to what you're doing.
It's not just toys. You mean ride the wave of the digital transformation of events? Is that what you're kind of saying there? I'm happy to do that.
That is, in fact.
No, listen, I think what got very clear to all of us on the team, quickly was, hey, if we were on to something, this idea of like really committing and trying to make something of the hand we were dealt, and really try and explore and start to master what it means to create interactive events in the digital world. A couple things seem to be true. One is that we had to throw ourselves into it and try and kind of find out as much as we can and learn and participate in as many things as we possibly could. But then it also started to get clear pretty early that part of the change management, because this all has been such a huge change management piece, is kind of living by example, to kind of help do the work instead of just repeating yourself over and over again. And so that was a very convenient excuse, to kind of take some, technical curiosity and, kind of lifetime of, geekiness when it comes to gear and stuff, and apply it to something with a rationale that said I was actually doing something good and trying to help things move forward. So this used to be kind of a screening area, and I just kind of commandeered it. And so I'll give you the quick tour. So this is kind of looking from this angle. You can kind of see what's going on here. And what I did is, this is master control, and it goes up and down, so I can sit and write if I'm writing in the morning and stuff like that, but then raise it and still have a standing desk kind of situation. And then just took over the screen here, which lets me kind of deliver a switcher situation that I can either use here inside this room, that I have 4 camera inputs, and I'll show you that in a second. And then the ability to kind of monitor multi-camera as I'm switching and kind of putting together anything that I'm participating in. But even more importantly, when we're shooting in the studio and I can't get there, or there are reasons that we have enough people in the studio already and we want to make sure that we're staying safe, I actually get a feed from the studio over in Redmond, and I get the full program view of all the cameras that are running inside any of the shooting stages we're working on, and I'm in the loop on all the intercom stuff, so I can kind of talk to the control room, or very Hitchcock trailer kind of thing that way. So then the last way I'll show you is kind of like what I have, what's working here, and And this is really my cooking show view. And what you're looking at is, not surprisingly, because I'm into music and that kind of thing, I have a more sophisticated audio board. Not saying that this is what's needed, but I will say that I am mixing all of you in surround sound in this room. So like I get to hear calls and stuff like that in a surround sound kind of way, but it also gives me kind of 24 channels to be able to mix, and I can kind of set up my audio and play if I play music live into a stream. And then I'm using this kind of Blackmagic ATM Pro, kind of video switcher that's letting me put kind of all three of those cameras plus my computer as a fourth input, so I can deliver kind of slideshows or presentations and switch. And inside that Teams call, I'm still just being recognized as one camera, so I don't have to worry about any of that, like, oh, I'm sharing my desktop or any of those kinds of things. I really am kind of creating a broadcast situation inside this setup. Kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
That is totally cool. Wow. So, Bob, do you have any recommendations for those of us that have aspirations and/or folks on our Christmas lists or holiday lists to where do we start? I mean, your setup's awesome.
I mean, there are a couple ways to think about it. I think the first thing is to decide what it is that you want to do. Like if you're an executive or you're a person that ends up presenting a lot, you're doing pitches and you're presenting. Right. Then this is why I created the setup I did. I chose, instead of OBS, some of you may be listening, and OBS and kind of Stream Deck and that kind of thing, very powerful tools, but they're a little bit more kind of the way things used to be between Apple and PCs, if you will, right? You got to be a little more tinkery in the moment, take a few more steps, that kind of thing. And I really tried to optimize my thing so I could be doing things like this seamlessly and kind of, make it pretty easy to do. And so in that way, I would totally recommend this switcher to anyone. It's incredibly fun. It upgrades your system, kind of ginormously in a heartbeat. The only downside of it, again, for those of you paying attention and keeping score, Blackmagic chose to make HDMI inputs on the back. So all four of the camera inputs are HDMI. So that's a little bit of like, you have to make a commitment to the cameras as well. But I think if you wanted to make a change and turn yourself into kind of a presentation capable, seller or presenter, that would be the number one thing. And there are three levels of it, and the entry level version is really quite affordable. Well, the second thing I'd say is this: is a microphone like this that's maybe $150 and a light, just to make you look a little bit better. Those would be the three big gift things that I would say that you can do for anybody or yourself, and upgrade your rig. Absolutely, good advice there. Well, if we were with you, and because it is the time and that time of the year where kind of gifting and sharing is in the air, we would be sitting there and we would be giving you a little present. Because it's virtual, we actually sent it to you, and we're wondering if you could bring it up. You mean this? Yeah, that. Absolutely. Right on. Thank you very much. Absolutely.
It's an experiment. One of the things we've been talking a lot about is sort of, there's an amazing possibility of what we're able to do virtually now, but there's still that sense of touch, that sense of live, that's the five senses aspect of being together that's not so easy to overcome, and so we were hoping that this would be a way to get a little more face to face by having us send something that you can then actually touch.
Well, thank you very much. And it's so beautifully wrapped.
Yes.
Should I open it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. There's it's a Pandora's box a little bit.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Once you open it, there's more inside. And then we have, I think, items that have an order and a sequence inside.
All right. Should I look for numbers or that kind of thing?
I think there aren't so many, but I think they'll make themselves clear.
All right. I'm here because I just want people to see this, and I was thinking I was be out of the camera. Oh yes, they are numbered conveniently 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, in fact, that
here is number 1.
We are thinking about them in exactly.
So there you go. So not a countdown order.
We are calling this this whole little section of our day together, or our time together. We're calling it "If Music Be the Food of Love, Play On." And this is chapter 1, which is music. And take the card out. Don't read it yet. Open the present, and then you can read the card.
Okay. Now, there wasn't a card. There was just this
no,
number.
Just open the package. You'll see
okay.
there's a little insert.
You'll see there's a little insert in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. This set aside.
Set aside. And
Very
see
good.
what it is, and then.
All right.
So
it's a box. I'm opening it now.
Yep.
Ooh, look at that. Wow. It is a cuff that is done in the style of a fretboard of a guitar, bent to my personal wrist shape.
Absolutely.
Very groovy.
Yep.
Super cool.
And we knew that, in a big sense, music is a big part of your life. And we know guitars are a big part of what you enjoy or how you enjoy music. And so that little note now, if you could just read that, will give you a little bit of the provenance of this item.
All right.
And then we have a question about music.
If music be the food of love, play on. The groundbreaking creativity hack Oblique Strategies is a limited edition deck of the original 1975 collaboration between British artist Peter Schmidt and the legendary music producer Brian Eno. Made to help musicians get unstuck in the creative process, Oblique Strategies relishes on lateral thinking to help the creative process in any field, often defying common sense. These cards allow us to think differently, see differently, act differently as we confront the future and all of the unknowns, such as putting the wrong card in the wrong gift.
That is an fair.
But I went for it, man. I did not give up. I did not stop reading it. I read it with commitment.
That was awesome. In fact, all we need to do is cut that out and move it a little bit in the edit, and we're good,
I did not let you distracted me, Sherry. I'm
exactly.
like, she's laughing at me. What am I doing? I'm like on a booger or something. I don't know.
Right. That was awesome.
Well, we're mixing it up. It's a little, we're out there today.
That's awesome.
Well, maybe while we kind of reset for a second, I mean, Itamar actually got the idea of this. Obviously, Itamar, with his background at Palabolas and the Five Senses Festival, what we really wanted to focus on, we're bringing out the senses today. So this one with music, we'll come back and figure it out. But the idea being is that we know that you love sound and you love music. And given Itamar and I are sort of in the creative and maker world, we know a maker that actually also loves music and has, through actually a project where he was developing signs and bending letters, realized that he could actually make those cuffs. And it's a nod to what he does. And we thought that would be a nice little nod for you.
Fantastic.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And I will wear it. And it fits. It's good. It's not too big, which is fantastic. A key to a cuff.
We could have always changed that. Actually, it's sized to a person's kind of T-shirt size. Go figure. Who knew that? But I know Itamar has a question about music for you as we recompose.
Yeah, I mean, I think during this time we've all relied on stuff in our personal lives to get us through and to chill us out and to kind of focus. And I was curious about how music has played a role for you over the last months as a kind of part of your life that's been helpful.
Yeah, well, I mean, so obviously this thing that was a weekly thing for 8 of us, we practiced religiously. And so, the taking that away was hard. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But here's the thing that I think is really interesting, at least this is what's happened to me in the music side. I have been practicing a ton more in terms of just getting my chops better. And then the other part of it is this time in this room kind of working and stuff, and I have, and this is going to sound stupid and technical, but look, I've been singing with microphones for the better part of 40 years, and professionally, and really feeling like I knew how to do it. And I feel like what I've learned in the last 6 months about mic technique and really understanding my voice and how to use a microphone and let it do the work, if you can believe it, which is one of the first things they ever say to you when you step into a studio is let the mic do the work. And I've been listening to that for 40 years and I'm only now getting it. It's just, it's unbelievable to me. but it is a tribute, to what discipline, it reminds me of kind of being young, like just doing a set of things every day and the discovery that comes from just doing a set of things every day. And that's been really interesting and very therapeutic, truly.
Yeah.
Yeah. How have you found collaboration? Are you playing with folks online, or are you going solo right now?
Not at all. And in fact, I'll put a plug in for what I think is one of the coolest inventions ever. This guy by the name of Pete Farmer, who lives up in Connecticut, who now makes these Farmer foot drums. Literally, it's like, think of Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins, right? And so, but I ordered one, and I was just talking to him this morning to see if it's going to get here before Christmas, because I'm so excited, because I'm like, okay, I can make everything now. I could bring everyone back. It's like, it's very funny.
We need to get you out of the basement.
Yeah, too much time alone, but yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, excellent, cool. Well, maybe we move on to gift number 2.
Oh, I thought you were going to say maybe I go straight to 3, because who knows where the note is?
Who knows what 2 is? 2 may be 1 and 1 may be 3.
Right,
I love that. Okay, 2. Oh, there's weight.
And these were actually, this was Itamar's suggestion, all inspired from Shakespeare.
Yes, I keep trying to think of some cool couplets that I could do in response, but it's not coming as quickly as I thought. But.
So this was all about taste, this one. This is really our food section.
I'm going to set this note aside.
Okay.
Regardless of what it says.
Yeah. Who knows what it could be?
Japanese barbecue sauce.
Absolutely. So this is, we know that you've spent time in Japan, for sure. And we also, again, with a nod to makers, I live up in Sonoma County, and this is a sauce that's made by a maker. His name is Justin Gill. It's his mother's recipe. And I have to tell you, it is like the magic sauce for everything.
Good on everything.
It's maker made. It's great with whatever you eat. Seriously, I'll need to be sending you more, because it's one of those nice little things. And we thought, well, it's a nod to kind of who you are, to the fact that you have an appreciation for food and the culinary arts as well. And so we just thought we would throw that in as well.
Fantastic. And I think I'm supposed to read this.
Absolutely.
Magic.
We hope, yes.
If music be the food of love, play on. Sometimes a marinade is more than a marinade. It's the correct note in the correct gift. And not only that, but Bejan's Japanese barbecue sauce is a unique marinade for anything from vegetables to poultry to tuna steaks. Made with the finest, purest Japanese ingredients and bottled in Northern California, Bejan's tastes handmade and can turn a simple dish into a delicacy. Arigatou gozaimashita. So desu.
Domo. Yep. Well, you'll have to let us know how that goes. And again, I'm glad to be your supplier of that
right
too.
On.
But you did
I know a guy.
Yeah, I know a guy. You did spend some time.
Bob, have you been cooking during this time? How's your food situation been? Like, how have you focused your food time?
I live with a very good cook who was trained by a 107-year-old grandmother who grew up on the south coast of Italy and cooks in the Mediterranean style. So, I don't try and compete. I'm an excellent kitchen cleaner. That said, I am the grill master, and I have been in this family, or the family I grew up in, since the time I was 11 or 12. And so I barbecue pretty well. And there's probably half a dozen things that I can make that say, hey, I'm cooking tonight, I'll do that. And outside that boundary, I suck.
Excellent.
Excellent. Well, we hit it right then. We got the sauce for the stuff you made. Yes, exactly. Right. Those 6 things can all benefit from this sauce.
Right. Awesome. Well, now we need to have a drum roll for our gift number 3.
The intro to which we've already heard, yes?
That's right.
And this is about the future and creativity.
There you go. It's about your kids, Marty. Oh, no.
Do you have
strategies? I do not.
Not okay. Excellent. Not that you need a
Sort
great.
of a classic limited edition of this thing that Brian Eno created
Yes.
with this British artist. And they're amazing. And they were essentially cards that he created to sort of get unstuck when making music.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm
And
sure
they-
I will be using these.
They apply to really any field, and I think they're really focused on lateral thinking. And you could even pull a few out and read a couple of them randomly because you give people a sense of what they are. But the thought for us was that you're always kind of thinking sideways instead of straight ahead in a way that always gets you to an interesting place. And so we thought this was sort of an interesting way to sort of think about how one moves not forward but sideways forward, if that makes any sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. And get this one for a sample card. Humanize something free of error.
Well, there you go now.
There you go.
Introduced there.
When is it for? That's a great one.
Yeah, I think you'll have fun with these. Especially being in the event world, when you know how it goes, when there are things I always had this deck with me when I was traveling, and it's just like when things got so bad, like really we could go here. You just pull those cards. So anyway, we thought that would be great to add.
This is incredibly thoughtful. I really appreciate it. That's just so kind of you guys to do this, really.
It was interesting to us to just kind of have a moment to sort of think about how do you really kind of do something that's meaningful, not just for us, for you, but sort of to just a way of interacting that kind of allows people to share stuff that's near and dear to them.
Yeah.
And sort of use that as a way to kind of deepen thinking and sort of realize we're all kind of in this together. I guess one thing we'd love to hear from you, before we wrap up is just how you're thinking about the future right now. It seems like we've had a very crazy year, but we're also entering sort of a new dawn in a way over the next months.
I agree.
And it would be lovely to hear sort of where your thoughts are about what we can be hopeful for.
Well, I mean, without trying to sound Pollyanna about it, I'm honestly incredibly optimistic, just kind of for everything that we're seeing. First of all, just the way people have received openly, kind of the experimentation that we've really done over the last 10 months, as well as kind of just the real results of it, in terms of the impact that we're having, on the business, of course, but really on enabling people to participate in the things we're doing in a way that we've never been able to do. And so that to me is thrilling, because what it says is that we can never forget the inclusion of all of those people. And that says to me that the digital core, this thing that we're exploring and really learning how to do, getting better and better at, will always be a part of everything moving forward, right? And I think that's something very cool, because the truth is as much as all of us that are involved in the events business love events, the people that go to them love them. We talk about it all the time about nothing can replace that feeling. The truth is not all human beings are that interested in those things that we think are so incredibly irreplaceable, right? And one of the biggest things we've learned is that adding digital, not in an adjunct way, but in a way that's really in the middle of everything, is a way to bring all those people that otherwise would have just stayed home and were happy to miss it. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of them into the fold, and that's just good for everything. And then I think as you start to think about the patchwork quilt that is our planet and the way it will come back to life and the inconsistencies and the way some areas will have to roll back and then go forward for a period of time, that's also something that's really exciting, because you say if the digital core has the integrity that we think it has, then the ability to continue to produce events and experiences and then activate them locally and then regionally and then ultimately as destinations over the next period of time, you can start to see how there is an enormous amount of opportunity, not only just for creativity and finding ways to do exactly what we're talking about right now, but also great opportunity for all of us as the craftspeople, the specialists, the creatives and the production people that powered this industry to apply those skills in a way that can enable, it's a different kind of business, but it takes advantage of what we know and allows us to all move forward in a way that can grow the business. And I think ultimately, when you think about us sitting at an event like this, 3-4 years from now, going like, oh my gosh, the scale, the scope, and the complexity and the diversity of what we're doing 4 years from now is going to be so much more compelling than it ever was in the before time.
Amazingly wise. It's really the unifying idea that these relationships are really transmedia, as it were. Like they can really go live, they can go through a digital core, they can have a lot of different ways that we access the one relationship. And that's how we live our lives now in every other respect. So why shouldn't that be the way we live our lives in relationship to brands and tools that we use to make our world better?
No, totally. So, and you know what? I was thinking about it not so long ago. I was lucky enough to be at Warner Brothers in the mid '90s when we were really starting to screw around with Time Warner Cable, was really trying to figure out what interactive television was, and then of course at MSN in 1996, launching that network and really trying to do it on the internet, but being way ahead of our time. But in all those situations back then, I remember talking with people and going, hey, it's like multimediography, right? It's not choreography, it's not directing, but it really is all these mediums being choreographed at the same time. And, it was always, either the technology was in the way or bandwidth was in the way or the audience didn't understand because they weren't sophisticated enough at the time. But, now all those pieces none of those encumbrances are in the way anymore. And so in some ways, this pandemic has forced us to work on this new palette. And then you go, oh, my God, it's ready. The time is right. And that's the last part for me. It's like that could open up an incredible golden age of creativity over the next 5 to 10 years, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right. Wonderful.
All being part of it. Well, we have, for the last part of our segment here, we actually, and I think we had talked to you a little bit about Decameron Row, which was a fun passion project that Itamar and I and 3 other colleagues worked on to really look at kind of place and look at time and actually pull from the community and what they were feeling during this period. And one of Itamar's friends, close friend, Julian Fleischer, put together a really wonderful piece. And Itamar, I don't know if you want to say anything else about it. It's he's a very special person. But before we have kind of us taking us out, and maybe we can have Bob play along as well and take us out of the segment. But
well, I learned it, but Edmar, I don't know. I learned it in F. What key does?
Yeah. I hope that works. I think it should. Julian's an old friend, but also a fantastic cabaret sort of centerpiece in New York's downtown scene, a music producer, and a podcast a host who's really been working a lot on what song means and what the role of song is in people's lives. And he's a great believer that song is a kind of secular religion for a lot of us. We go back to them, we listen to them, they illuminate our lives. And he put together, also pretty early on in this whole thing, a kind of supercut of a whole bunch of fantastic Broadway stars singing the hopeful song From Annie Tomorrow. And we thought
the late great Martin Charnin.
Exactly, the late great Martin Charnin. And as Bob has had a Broadway career, and we thought it would be a very appropriate and hopeful way to roll out at the end of this holiday season and to say thank you. And we'll say goodbye right after. But for now, we thought we'd play along, and we're going to turn our video off, but Bob's is going to stay on, and as we roll video. So this is awesome, and here we go with Julian Fleischer's supercut of Tomorrow.
Hello.
Billy Stretch, it's Julian Fleischer.
Julian, how are you, man? How are you weathering all this?
Ooh, well, like the song says, Billy, when I'm stuck with a day that's gray and lonely.
I just stick out my chin and grin. I just love that song.
Oh my God, it's the best song ever. I think that song should be the national anthem of the whole wide world, especially now.
Oh, it's great. How about I play it for you?
How about I get some friends to sing along?
And how about if I get you know who to start the whole thing off?
No. No, you are kidding me. You don't mean.
I do indeed.
Oh, Billy, I'm so glad I called you.
I am too, man.
All right, Maestro, proceed.
Let's do it.
The sun'll come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow clears away the cobwebs and sorrow till there's none. When I'm stuck with a day that's gray and lonely, I just stick out my chin and grin and say, tomorrow, so you're not hanging on till tomorrow. Come my way, tomorrow, tomorrow, I love you, tomorrow. You're only a day away. When I'm stuck with a day that's gray and lonely, I just see my chin and grin and say, so you gotta hang on to tomorrow. Come what may, tomorrow, tomorrow, I love you, tomorrow, you're only a day away. Tomorrow, tomorrow, I love you, tomorrow, you're only a day.
Wow, that was awesome.
That was awesome. That's
Oh my God, that was great.
it's a great way to end a week and end a year. And thanks for being such an inspiration, Bob, to the event world and community.
Well,
Appreciate it.
Thank you, and it's a tribute to all the teams and all the people, including yourselves, that work with us to make it real. So thank you for the compliment, but I stand on the shoulders of a lot of incredible people.
Yep.
Well, thank you for leading the way, and thank you for helping share Inside Live with us. And we'll be back for more as this story continues. But
Yep.
happy holidays! Enjoy it all, and we will be together again soon. So
Yep.
all the best to you and your family, and stay healthy.
And to all of you, stay safe, everybody.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.